I'd like to welcome everybody to the next episode of Roots to Health. I'm your host, Dr. Craig Keever, and my lovely vegan chef, licensed. You're developing quite the repertoire here.
Yes. You don't know what to call me. Is what
my lovely partner, vegan chef, wife, licensed teacher of plant-based cooking.
Yes.
Yes. All of the above. So today, I'd like to address a topic that we probably addressed at various times in different segments, different episodes, but I don't know that we've sat down and addressed this as a topic.
Can't really address it enough.
Yeah. And that is obstacles to changing from the standard American diet to a plant-based diet and way of life. To keep this in context, of course, as everybody out there that's listening probably fully understands, but of course, the standard American diet is just laden with fats and salts and sugars and all kinds of other processed things and chemicals that are just really not good for us. Not food. That's exactly right. Having said that, and having just done this not too many years ago myself, there is a complete recognition of this is a tough change. Mm-hmm. You know,
it's first and foremost a mindset. It's really not so much about the food.
That's exactly right. And the mindset change came about for me when I finally started to recognize the health issues that this was causing me. You know, I bumbled along for years with high cholesterol, and you know, at age, I think I was 27 or 31. I can't remember exactly, but somewhere
early 30s.
Early 30s, when I finally found out that I had high cholesterol. You know, no big deal. There's a pill for that. You know, I felt fine.
Pretty dadgum young, typically.
Pretty dadgum young. But I felt fine, you know, and I just, in recognizing that, okay, that's a risk factor for heart disease, I started the medicine without, you know, even thinking twice about it, and clearly not thinking about getting to the root cause of, well, why do I have this? You know, the first thought is, oh, it's genetic and I can't do anything about it, so I just need the medicine to fix it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Bumbled along for a few more years on one medicine, and lo and behold, not only had I started to gain weight a little bit, not because of the statin medicine or anything like that, just the natural progression of the standard American diet. Now I've got high blood pressure. Oh, well, that's kind of easy to fix. A little blood pressure medicine.
Give me that pill.
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal. And
just, to your point, it's not like you were asking for it, but Western medicine, that's just how we do it.
Right.
You know.
Right. And I addressed that in my talk at the Bentonville Public Library, you know, that this is the approach of Western medicine. It's not necessarily an approach that, you know, tries to tap down to the root cause of all of this. It's just, here's your symptom, here's your pill. Right. You know, and as I mentioned in that talk, you know, this is, in my opinion, an abject failure of Western medicine to deal with these kinds of issues. I think the tide is turning slowly, but there's still a very big prevalence of the whole attitude of pill for an ill. And that's.
Would you say that billing almost makes it to where it's really hard for a physician to even have that time with a patient because they really make it to where it's kind of, you have to get in, get out?
I think it can be viewed that way, unless the physician has a mindset change. And, you know, in my practice, certainly that's kind of changed for me in recognizing the importance of basic nutrition and trying to teach my families and my kids, hey, this is a lot more important than this culture ever gave it credit to be. Right. You know, basic good nutrition will fix or prevent so many.
Amazing what
it's pretty.
When incredible. It can turn off genes, I still can't get over how it can really turn off certain bad genes that you have in your body. That's
exactly
amazing.
Right. And I love, Yeah, it's so hopeful and empowering, and that quote or that thought comes from a quote I can't quote it directly, but from T. Colin Campbell, where he compares, our nutritional status to a symphony with our genetics. And it just plays our genetics like a symphony.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, and in going through this whole process, as I was kind of getting through, well, there's another medicine, and then a few years later, I've got type 2 diabetes. Now, where did that come from? I need another medicine for that. And of course, once you get to that place, the medicines are only very softly tapping the brakes on a progressive illness.
And they're really not
fixing anything.
Right.
Right. So it was not too long after that. There's a second medicine for my type 2 diabetes. And by this time, by the way, I'm on 2 medicines for my blood pressure as well. So again, the whole idea of the root cause. And my point with all of this in light of today's discussion is really how subtly this whole metabolic syndrome takes place.
And we're also kind of taught that, the heart disease doesn't have anything to do with your blood sugar. It's like they dissect it, and it's like it most certainly does.
These are all very interrelated.
That's right.
Exactly. And so in today's talk, there are several categories that these obstacles show themselves to changing that mindset. And I had probably most, if not all of them, as I went through this process. And, the first time I ever started to think about the possibility of plant-based eating being for me, because I many times prior to this joked, I'm a meatitarian. Yep. It's a personal choice.
Yep.
It's like a lot of what vegetarians will say, this is a personal choice.
That's
and I was kind of poking fun at that without really fully understanding what was going on. So, but some of the most common challenges in changing that mindset start really on a social and cultural basis.
Most definitely.
And to that end, some of my first difficulties as I began this process, I saw the movie Forks Over Knives, and that was the first time I ever started thinking, maybe I need to change the way I eat. And
was there a part of you that was kind of like, I think what happens to people is they convince themselves, well, it's just in my genes. It's just, so that food, noise is still stirring, it's a big,
for sure.
It's a big talk. It's that little devil on your shoulder.
Well, yeah, there's that. And there's the whole knowledge that I have now about food addiction.
That's what I mean.
Knowing now what I didn't know before, that there's so many foods in the standard American diet that have an addictive opioid-like component to it, even if it's a very low level of that. Dairy being one of them, and I go back to some of the things I've seen in videos and whatnot, and this picture of a baby with this goofy grin on his face after just having taken his milk, and he's milk drunk. Yes, it's a real thing.
It happens for a human baby.
It's a real thing, and that's not a bad thing.
For breast milk.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing at that age, But as we get older, so dairy has that opioid-like quality. Meat actually has that opioid-like quality, and sugar and chocolate.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it that after that certain length of time that a baby is, getting into toddlerhood or a calf, that we lose that ability to even digest, that we're all kind of lactose intolerant?
Yeah, a large majority of the population does. We have the enzymes to digest lactose as an infant, and I don't know the exact age range, but memory serves it's somewhere between 1 and 2 years of age that we lose our ability, most of us, to produce lactose. And so that's why such a large percentage of the human population gets lactose intolerant.
Yeah. It's not meant to be that way.
It's not meant to be that way. So regarding social and cultural barriers, as I went through, after I saw that movie Forks Over Knives, and I went through the process of kind of thinking about, well, how do I do this? Well, I didn't have any mentors that I could lean on for learning about plant-based eating. All of my friends were definitely not into this, and we were all going out to restaurants
Maybe
and
they looked at
socializing.
you like you had three eyes.
Yeah,
like,
right.
What's this about?
Who did you murder? What?
Yeah, that's right. That's always my joke.
So yeah, I mean, that becomes a real issue. And not only that, but then you tie in with that. Now, I didn't have any of these particular issues, but, family, cultural meal plans and those kind of things and traditions, and fear of losing favorite meals and whatnot. We have certainly addressed that. Again, my lovely vegan chef took it on herself as I was starting to go plant-based to say her main goal in life was to create many of my comfort foods from a plant-based basis. And that has very well succeeded. I mean, all these foods can, I say all, we still haven't figured out a filet mignon.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about
I don't know. I think Derek Sarno is pretty damn close.
You're right.
The caveat to that is to make it really go there, he uses a lot of oil, and so we're staying away from it.
Yeah, we're staying away from it.
So I would challenge that.
There's still possibilities for that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea, in terms of challenges to going plant-based, all those, cultural ideas and the ideas of my favorite meals and stuff like that. Another issue with the social and cultural issues regarding, just social gatherings, as a plant-based person, many times people are made that aren't plant-based or feel uncomfortable and get poked at. That's right. I've been fortunate. Not very often has that happened in my journey, but there have been a couple of people.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happens to us, but I think you have to be a little bit of a maverick or have a maverick attitude of like, okay, like that's on you. Like before I became a vegan, I guess I could use that word too. I never had that in me to want to tell somebody like, ugh. And so if you got that around you, you might need to kind of just look at your boundaries because that's not really necessary. We really don't have our dear friends and family don't really do that. So.
Sure. So how do we overcome some of these issues with the social and cultural barriers? We've already addressed that a little bit in terms of trying to figure out plant-based versions of our former comfort foods, but other ways to do this, particularly in like potlucks and stuff like that. If you're the only plant-based person there, bring your own.
Right. And no one's going to really, I mean, they will know because you're plant-based, but how many times have we done meals where people, if they had never known, they just gobbled it up. So
that's right.
Just my advice to that is, don't make a big deal out of it. And everybody does this differently. I have friends that are plant-based that they're like, I can't go to that restaurant because I can't eat that. I am like, I always say I'm Switzerland. I'm like, I'm good. I can go, so if you need to get a little snack, which you maybe talk about it in ahead of time. But just be the happy vegan.
Yep.
Just be low key.
I love Dr. Clapper. He's
like,
be the happy vegan. So, and another way of helping through some of this, in particular, in the face of somebody that's a little more confrontational, like, why don't you eat meat? Well, have a short, canned, planned answer for that. It's like whatever works for you in terms of a response to that kind of question.
And that response could be, I don't care to talk about it.
Yeah. As simple as that.
You really don't have to go into any detail.
That's right. You don't.
Yeah.
And should you choose to, it's like, well, meat's not healthy for me.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Right.
They don't have to agree with you.
Yeah. Like Dr. Esselstyn, to avoid oil, would tell someone that he was allergic and he would say, I can't have a drop of that. And so they went above and beyond to make sure, I've had people when I'll say I don't want cheese on something, they'll say, do you have a dairy allergy? And so, those kind of things are pretty common now.
You bet. The next common obstacle is just a logistical one, just based on convenience and time. I suppose you could say, benefit of the standard American diet is
there a benefit?
Is there a benefit? Well, yeah, it's why people, it's why people stay with it.
Yeah.
Convenience.
There's a lot, yes.
Yeah, convenience.
We say that facetiously.
You bet. And just the time management, because in reality, being plant-based does sometimes pose a little increased demand on your time.
Well, especially when you're traveling, because if you really want to know that you're going to have good food, you don't have to prep it, but we found that it's just, and again, everybody finds their own rhythm in this, and that community is so important. Like the potluck the other night, we had such a great conversation with people that we've known, for a while now, but, I didn't think about that, and we went back and forth as far as, and that's what I'm excited about, teaching at Honeycomb. I'm going to be teaching at Honeycomb Kitchen, and it's amazing in Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Plant-based people need those outlets where they can just get around other people that like those kind of same things, just to have social.
You bet. And the fact of the matter is that these, as we've probably already hammered on to this point, but the processed foods do have a convenience aspect to them, but they're killing us.
They said 65% of what people are eating is the highly processed foods. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of non-food.
That's a lot of non-food. Yeah. That's exactly right. So what are some of the solutions to this? One of the things that we've come with is batch cooking.
Man, the super cubes, I can't say enough about that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you have time, I'd like to explain a little bit of that.
Yeah.
It's called super, not like super duper, but soup, as in
SOUPER, yes.
So you can find them on Amazon, but wow, we've gotten into a really good rhythm of like, they come in half cup, 2 cups, and you can do little tablespoons for like any kind of sauces. It's a really great way. I was always having extra tomato paste, and I would, I just throw away half of the jar because I wasn't going to use it. But now we've gotten to where I'm doing, you never know if all your greens are going to get used throughout the week. And so I chop kale. I put them in those little and they're perfectly little rectangles. Yeah. I should have brought some.
So, so what they are is these silicone things that are what?
I'm getting there.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. So you can actually cook in them. They're steel reinforced, and you can put them in the oven and then go directly to, let them cool down a little bit and go into the freezer. They have a cap, so they freeze in like, it's almost like having Legos for your meal. So they're like perfectly little rectangle or square, and then they even make a casserole where you can put 3 of them in at a time, which I love the challenge of that. The fun of that. So that's been really nice because we'll do rice, kale, even our frozen veggies. I might do them up ahead of time and have them individually done like that, where lunches become a lot easier like that.
Absolutely. So having things ready-made, batch cooked in the freezer to pop out, and I mean that's made a world of difference a lot of times. So, and using just frozen vegetables from the grocery store. I mean, that's while that is a form of processing, and we're trying to avoid processed foods per se.
That's not really what
that's not the ultra processing is what we're really talking about. So frozen vegetables and frozen fruits are all on the table, so to speak. Absolutely, for sure.
Well, it gets my greens in a whole lot more if I can have those individually little cups.
You bet. Next, we'll come to a difficulty with changing to a plant-based lifestyle in terms of being taste and cravings. And this is something that actually, for me, has changed over time. I think most people do. I think one of the big problems with the standard American diet is, of course, our tongues and taste buds get so coated with the taste of the fats and the sugars and the salts, and it takes a while.
Lots of sodium.
That's right.
More than you can even imagine in the standard diet.
Oh, my goodness. And so it does take a while, weeks to months, for those taste buds to actually cleanse themselves. And I can tell you that I taste things much more vividly than I ever used to. It's just pretty incredible. And not only does that unmasking of my taste buds, has that happened, but I'm exposed to so many more different flavors. It's just, it's such a wide variety of things that's made it much better.
Well, and they've proven that sodium does up if you have sodium in food versus not, you're going to eat more. It gives that cravability, and it really causes, a lot of hunger.
Well, and there's actually some real science to the knowledge that a high fat, high salt diet does stimulate your dopamine pathways, and which creates that addictive quality to it. And so once you decrease that, then, I will honestly say, I joked about the filet mignon earlier, but I really don't have any cravings, for anything like that. And really the thought of some of those things from the standard American diet, it quit bugging me after probably several months to a year.
That's what I mean. I think people think we sit around just like, oh gosh, I wish. And I'm sure at the beginning when I was even at home, I might have thought about that kind of stuff, and surely in a restaurant. But now it just kind of grosses me out. It's not even something that I even remotely, I wish people could understand. It's not. And part of the food noise that goes on in your head, part of that addiction is just those processing, all those additives they're putting in. Because I've said it before, I could have dairy and then 2 or 3 hours later, I am like nauseous if I don't get food in. This has been years ago, of course, but I can go 16 hours, no problem. Now, it doesn't bother me. So
yeah, for sure. So and solutions to these cravings and whatnot. For instance, one of my biggest solutions, I was an ice cream hound, right? Oh my goodness, I could eat ice cream after every meal. And I think, in fact, shared one time I did for a while during med school on an experiment that was being run by somebody else. Anyway, but suffice it to say that I've got a real sweet tooth, or had. It's not as bad as it was, but it's still there. I still have a tendency to favor sweet things. And I've really solved that in large part. The biggest thing was nice cream. So using bananas as a base, and just as simple as freezing them, throwing the cocoa powder and vanilla extract and almond extract and a plant-based milk. And I've got something equivalent to a Dairy Queen soft serve.
And if you want to go farther, the date lady has her new chocolate syrup, and it is divine. Also her chili sauce. And I will say, for convenience sake, that it's really low sodium. It does not have all the junk. She is a very clean product. The chili sauce has been my absolute favorite, because a fresh sauce is going to go bad in 5 to 7 days. But hers is something where it's like shelf stable, and it is so nice to be able to just pour it on something.
You bet.
I use it probably every day.
Well, I think
the chili sauce, not the chocolate.
Yeah. I think the point of all of this is, in the plant-based world, there are definite substitutes that, for us, I think, have really solved that craving issue, that these certain taste issues. Whether it's because it's kind of mimicked in some ways the standard American diet and brings that kind of comfort, or just a new flavor that it's like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's just a different way of cooking. And in some ways it's not at all. And so it just depends. But if you can get those spices, if you can get those things that are, you don't have to, but it does make it nice when you can do something where it's got, you bring the comforts of home.
Oh yeah. And I tell you, we've got a spice rack now that just
from every culture.
It's like, it's something to be
it's a work of art.
It's a work of art. So the next,
and I will say, to that point, we did get a really nice spice rack, and I have them alphabetical. And I know when I got a new one the other day, you were like, oh gosh, we're gonna have to go all the way down. But it helps so much to know where they are.
It does. It's really nice.
I'm all about efficiency.
You bet. Well, the next issue that occurs often as a struggle or an obstacle to turning plant-based is just basic nutritional concerns, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. Okay. Not the first of which or actually probably the first that we've always joked about. Where do you get your protein?
Ask me how much protein I had at lunch today.
How much protein did you have?
50 grams.
50 grams of protein in one meal.
30 grams in my tofu, 10 grams in my rice, and 10 grams in my hemp hearts.
Holy moly. So not a problem getting protein.
Just did it.
Problem solved. Yeah. So it's very easy to get protein. And that's a huge misinformation, probably based on, although I'm kind of talking out of I don't know. Anyway, talking about something I don't know really where it came from, but I'm guessing some pseudoscience.
Let's go to marketing
studies. Let's
go sell a book, a carnivore book, where our own blood pressure is sky high, but we're going to keep selling that book.
Right. But in fact, there was a common misconception that vegan people used to be these thin, frail people.
Well, and that could have a point, because you can be on the unhealthy side, as you know.
That's right.
This is why we're talking about it. You can be on the unhealthy side of of both diets.
That's right. For real. I mean, you can be vegan and be horribly unhealthy because of all the vegan junk food that's available. Right. So yeah. So, and realistically, there are a few things as plant-based eaters that we do have to pay attention to. All right. Vitamin B12 is probably the most common one. That's a super easy supplementation.
And most everyone is low on vitamin B12.
Yeah. So many people. Yeah, that's right. Another common concern would be potentially like iron. Okay. Now, I will say I've had zero trouble with that.
If you get your cruciferous vegetable,
that's right.
It's high.
And I think the big deal is here, we really need to pay attention to eating the rainbow. I mean, if you eat a wide variety and all the colors of foods that are out there, you will get all the basic nutrients.
And if you don't know, go get your blood work done.
That's right.
You got to measure it. You got to see where you're at with things.
So in terms of supplements that I take, and fears of deficiencies, vitamin D is up there. Now, I think this is also true for the general population. Because we get vitamin D primarily, of course, from sun exposure. And we have become a rather sun-phobic culture.
Well, and rightly so.
Right. We don't want to, it's hard to find that balance between proper sun exposure for vitamin D and development of skin cancer.
I mean, any skin doctor is going to tell you, be careful because it can really be a problem. So.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the whole media fiasco of all these different dietary trends, right? Like the carnivore. Okay, I mean they're
unpasteurized milk
or unpasteurized milk.
Pediatrician saying one thing I wouldn't do is give kids pasteurized milk. I'm like, oh my god, really?
Yeah. So yeah, the carnivore diet, there's not one scientific research study that shows anything really positive about it in terms of longevity.
There will be somebody who challenges you on it, and that's okay. That's just how that goes.
And the reality is, as Dr. Clapper puts it, these things are nutritional, what does he call them? Parlor tricks. Okay.
That's a great word for that.
Yeah, because you will, in fact, switching to any of these keto, paleo, carnivore, there is a potential to lose some weight. There is a potential for a brief period of time where the numbers seem to improve. You feel better. But there are zero studies for any of these that I'm aware of that actually show benefits long term.
There's no way someone could be on a carnivore diet for 30 years.
That's right.
They wouldn't live.
Yeah, these plans are not sustainable, and ultimately they are not good for you.
Right.
I mean, when you take way too much fat, that fat goes somewhere.
Yeah.
And the fat that you don't burn, if you're planning on the keto diet, you're trying to tell your body, oh, let's just burn the fat for our calories. Well, our bodies aren't made to do that. This is an unnatural condition. Right. And so over time, that's going to cause deposits in your arteries. Right. You're going to have more heart disease. And I think there are studies starting to come out now that are showing some of these things.
Well, and it might not be the place to mention it, but on Instagram, there's a page called The Carnivore Cringe. And it's like, it's real accounts of people that are sick. And they're like, well, it must be the oxalates.
Right. When in fact, I don't think any studies have really shown serious problems from oxalates. Now, there are a few issues that
That's a hot topic.
That's a hot topic. I mean, certainly they're involved with kidney stone production.
There are some people that are more potent that are, they're on the histamine. That kind of tends to be something like that, but that's a different thing.
Yep. So I would always, with any questions related to any of these things, recommend researching evidence-based sources. People that know the real science and not just...
who are not paid to do this.
That's right.
They have some kind of pocket.
That's right. That's right. And last but not least...
Can you kind of spell that out for people? Like, where would they go for that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've got several resources that we use and trust. And so The Esselstyns, that family, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and his family have numerous, I think, books and videos on YouTube, and those are excellent resources. Dr. Michael Greger, if you're interested in the science behind things, nutritionfacts.org is probably one of the best websites out there. And this is
he will cite every study. He will cite.
Yeah. I mean, he looks at the science and looks at the studies and makes sure that, was this project done correctly? Is this accurate information? It's an amazing resource. Those are the first two that pop off in my mind.
Well, I mean, if people want to look up your website, it's Ozark Pediatrics, and they can also put
.org.
Yes, but I'm just saying on a search, they can say Ozark Pediatrics plant-based resources, and it will go to that page.
Excellent.
Yeah, they don't need.
So and that will give you all the things right now that, I mean, it's not a comprehensive list, but it's many of the things that we have used in our journey. So, so last but not least, one of the common concerns or complaints is, wow, it just costs too much.
That's the funniest one.
That's the funniest one, because truly, it doesn't get much cheaper than beans and rice. And beans and rice will give you probably
greens. I can get up
and throw some greens in there.
A ton of kale for $8.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean a ton.
So now, can you spend a lot of money doing this? Yes, there's a lot of vegan processed foods that get kind of pricey,
which is not whole food
plant-based. Right.
However, I will say, I love Physicians Committee's stance on this. If you need that transitionary type food,
yes, or
just like me, occasionally I will have an Impossible Burger. I'll just put it out there for everybody to give me a hard time about. It's like, it's like saying you're never going to have junk food ever again. It's my version of junk food. I'm never going to have any kind of animal products anymore. But they do serve a purpose. But it is true that that's where the expense lies.
That's right. Yeah.
And, occasionally we'll get something new for our kitchen, or we'll get new spices that might be, we really like to get those spices.
Yeah. So it's pretty easy to do this.
Not eating out like you used to either.
That's right.
People have to realize that is something too that's kind of something to get used to, because you're going to run into oils if you go to a restaurant. Oh,
without a doubt. I'm not sure of hardly any chefs in this country that are aware of how to cook without oils. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
All right. So in conclusion, I think all of these issues that come up as difficulties to transitioning to a plant-based diet, they are real difficulties, and they do require some time and some thinking through on how to get around them. But the bottom line is, we have basically found our three main whys as to why we do this. Okay. And for me, the very first one was just my health. I mean, my health was worth it. And when I finally figured out, this is really the healthiest way, then I kind of dove in, and then recognizing as a second reason for doing this is the environment. I mean, raising that many animals for the purposes of slaughter and feeding the country is providing an impetus for destroying much of the environment and our waterways. I like to pass this statistic on that I was shocked to learn that 50% of the waterways in this country do not support aquatic life. In large part, not completely, but in large part due to runoff from large animal farms and all the fertilizers that go on them that create the algae blooms. And when the algae dies, the bacteria take over. And when the bacteria take over, the oxygen disappears.
We're in trouble.
No oxygen, no aquatic life.
That's a big problem for us.
It's a big problem.
Yeah, beyond the fish.
That's right. And then the last but not least is the whole animal ethics. And my favorite saying about that is, one look at a chicken truck really tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
But the whole animal industry is fraught with unethical treatment of animals.
I guarantee you, if you get close enough to see what it's really doing, you'll never want meat again.
Yep.
You'll never want it again.
Absolutely. Well, I would like to thank everybody for tuning in, and hope this was helpful. And we will sign off for now and catch you next time.
Take care.